So if you've got any concerns, any worries, anything really on your mind, you just feel you really need to talk to someone, then it's 116-123. Okay, Penny, thanks very much for sparing your time and coming in, and we do really appreciate it. I'm sure you're very busy, and I do appreciate that time. So we just kind of briefly sort of delved into your, well, not delved, but sort of glanced over your role as a volunteer. Now, you say you've been involved for many years.
One of the things that we have to do first is training, and I'm still involved with training. So when new people come, I help the training team, and they have to do at the moment 9 modules. So it's quite a strict training that you have to do before you even go on the phone lines. And then when you go on the phone lines, you have a mentor, and the mentor is with you during the time that you're on the phone for just a few weeks until you get settled in and get your feet under the table. And then you're away on your own for up to 6 months, where you get further training during the 6 months, but not a great deal. And you get experience. That's the thing, because the one thing about Samaritans is you never know when you pick up the phone who's going to be there and what their problem's going to be. You've got to be sort of all things to all people, but you can't know. So what you do is try and listen to them and let them tell you what they're going through, what they're feeling like, what they're experiencing, what's happened in their past maybe, how they're planning their future. And just we have a conversation. And I think perhaps, I feel personally anyway, that society's got a lot busier and a lot more rushed, and it's sort of an oasis of calm in our branch, an oasis of calm for those who phone. When they speak, we're there for them, just to listen to them alone. And I think that's quite a big thing, let alone all the other stuff that we do.
Yes, no, I can well imagine, yeah. Now, statistically, as an average, it's sort of 1 in every 4 people suffer with depression, and of course, depression can come in many guises, from very obvious depression to, I mean, I've got 1 or 2 friends that, for instance, didn't really realise they had depression, but when delving into it deeper and seeking a bit of help, found out that actually they did.
Yes.
So, what are kind of the signs, if you like, that someone is depressed, if you like, the general sorts of signs, just for anyone listening who's maybe feeling a bit low but thinking, well, I don't know if I really feel depressed, but at the same time,
Yes, I think a lot of people say they have difficulty getting up in the morning. That's the first thing. When they wake up, they don't know how they feel, or they know they feel bad, but they're not quite sure why. And it's more like, you've heard it called the black cloud and all that sort of thing. It's more like that sort of sense of things aren't quite right and things aren't going right. And because of this, sometimes you don't want to do things, you don't want to get on with things. Then, of course, you feel slightly more of a failure because you had planned to do this and then you didn't get it done. And it just kind of, I think, for a lot of people, it bears in on them. And because it comes so slowly in that way, it almost needs at some point somebody to stand back and say, what's wrong with me? What's going on? And for Samaritans, you might know that it's a suicide line in some respects, but actually we would much rather that people contacted us right at the beginning when they're feeling a bit low and talk through their options and think about things at that point so that they don't go deeper. I haven't quite answered depression, but perhaps I've given you a sense of...
Yes, of course, yeah. And I guess kind of, do you find that typically whereabouts on the chain of how they're feeling they call Samaritans? Is it at the beginning, do you find? Or is it maybe they've been to the doctor but they're still feeling, and now they feel like they'd just like to have someone, obviously it's not that easy to get to see a doctor all the time, and therefore they feel like they need to call Samaritans. Do you find that, or do you find that you're the first point of call? So someone's really low and they're basically contacting you.
I don't think that you can say really, but I would say that in general, when people phone us, because they're feeling bad about themselves, they feel, I can't phone anybody and ask because I'm wasting their time. Because there are people who are more important, people who need us more, need Samaritans more, and we'll be blocking the phones and things like that. And as I've said, the sooner the better. If you really feel a little bit low, give us a ring, talk it through. You may never need to ring again, but if you're further down the line, it may take several calls before you even get up the energy and the courage to go to your doctor. So it kind of varies.
Yeah. In actual fact, I've got a slight story there that I was actually feeling bad to phone up and make contact with the Samaritans when I was thinking about you coming on to the show, and because I thought, I'll be taking up the lines, but the person I spoke to very quickly reassured me it was fine, you know. But
yes,
but yeah, you that sort of feeling of you know, you're sort of taking up something much more important than what you know.
Yes, every call is important.
Absolutely,
it really is, and that's not just. I'm not just saying that. It is, because it doesn't matter where you are on that scale, on that line. You need help at that point. You need. Sometimes it's as though it's going round and round in your mind and you can't get it out. So if you can say it to somebody confidential, somebody anonymous, somehow that's easier. It's a bit like talking to somebody in a bus queue, and sometimes you don't want to distress your family, worry your family, and so to speak to a caring stranger, you know, somebody that has been trained to listen, really makes a difference for some people. They can be open about what they feel instead of having to consider other people's opinions all the time. And Samaritans themselves, you know, go through those phases as well from time to time, volunteers. So we know about those sort of things, and we try and keep each other, you know, feeling it the best they can.
Yeah. Are you able to share with us a bit about the training? What's involved in that? Like, I'm just thinking if someone was thinking right now, or it's something I feel I would like to do as a volunteer.
Yes.
Could you give us a bit of a background?
Yes, there's a bit of a selection, but first there's an information session. So that's probably the most important thing. And you come along, very warm, very sort of inclusive, tells you it as it is, not, you know, no holds barred. And if it's right for you, then you'll almost know at that point. And then you come for a selection evening where you do some group activities and then have an interview. The interview, of course, is nothing like going for a job. It's not about what you know, it's about your characteristics, about your personality, whether you're willing to reach out to other people, whether you're willing to listen to other people, and be trained in the way that Samaritans does it, which is called active listening. So the first module is about active listening, and then from there we build on all the different modules about ways of dealing with emails and dealing with SMS that we also do. Yeah. Next year we're doing live messaging as well. So Samaritans is trying to reach out to people at all ends of the compass, if you like, and all types of people. And one of the things when you finished your training that you're told by your mentor is just be yourself. Even though you've learnt how to be a Samaritan, you're being yourself on the phone. So you're reaching out to an individual as an individual. And that makes a huge difference. And sometimes a conversation turns on a pin just because something's been said that's really, really resonates with that person, even though they were feeling so low.
Yeah. And I would think that would be I would say that's a very good point, actually, you know, to be yourself. I think it's probably important in a lot of things in life,
yes,
but certainly in that kind of work as well, to be, you're going to come across natural to the other person,
yes,
and they're going to quickly warm and feel, well, I say warm, but they quickly feel more relaxed,
yes,
with all that they've got to say.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, I would say that's a very good point. Yeah, very well. Yeah. Just sort of thinking a little bit about now, because obviously the large part of what you're doing is at the end of a telephone, but of course there's a lot more to it than that, as I know, and that's reaching out as well. So, I mean, just say, for instance, schools. On that, by the way, is there an age limit to which people can actually call in? So I mean, is there an like under 18s?
No,
Is there a
no age limit. There's actually an age limit which is 18 to 80 plus for volunteers, but for anybody phoning in, they phone in. Most young people know about Childline, but then again, some people, even children, want to talk to us first before they talk to Childline, or as well as talking to Childline. So we do get children phoning. I have to say, because I've been a Samaritan for a long time, we get fewer children since Childline came in. So that's really good. I'm glad about that for their sake, because Childline is there for young people. Yeah. But yes, we do go into schools. Also, we have as a post if somebody has taken their life, or perhaps a parent has taken their life or something like that, it affects the whole school, and Samaritans can go in with a post-vention, it's called, which is sort of like prevention but post, after the event, in order to talk to people, listen to people, and a certain amount of gentle advice about ways of running things, ways perhaps of how you communicate, and have you communicated with everyone, have you checked that the teachers and the bursars are okay with it, as well as all the children, and this sort of thing. It's quite well organised, so we have thought of that one as well.
And of course our basically our future generation, our children, are so important to us, and of course with the modern teenager now, in particular, when they're growing up, they're going through all kinds of stuff, and they could be going through bullying, they could be going through many things that they're getting exposed to online, etc. And so I think it's really important, isn't it, to
hugely
going
important.
into the schools.
An SMS and an email are where they tend to contact us more than the phone, I think, probably these days. That's the way that they work, that's the way they're comfortable, and that's the way they can be open with us. And they often say, I've never told anybody, or I can't tell my friends, I can't tell my parents, or I told a friend and it didn't work out well, so now I can't tell anybody. And there they are telling us, which is huge privilege. And you hope that it helps to sort of sort out what's going on. But yes, bullying is a big thing, I'm afraid. Yeah.
Oh, this is so fascinating. I'm really enjoying this conversation. Now, just to read out the helpline number again, it's 116 123. If you've got anything on your mind, if you're feeling you just want to speak to somebody, then that's the number to call. That's 116 123. Now, we're going to be back shortly. We're going to speak a bit more to Penny and find out a bit more. And we're just going to take a short ad break, and we'll be back soon. So welcome back then, Penny.
Thank you.
If you just tuned in and you're just joining us, we have Penny with us from the Samaritans, and she's going over not only her role, but just going over the organisation in general and giving us a whole sort of information fest about what it's all about, really. So if you have missed up until now, don't forget you can listen in tomorrow between 11 and 12 on GFM, or you can actually go online and go to the listen back service that we have there, select the community link show in today's program, and then you can actually listen to it at your leisure there as well. So that's the other option. So if you have missed anything, I will give out the emergency line again. If there's anybody, and I mean anybody, who's feeling low or feeling they just need to speak to somebody, then that's what the Samaritans are there for. And therefore their free number is 116 123. That's 116 123 if you want to speak to someone in a private and confidential. So looking on then, Penny, so we've sort of covered the sort of the basics of that. We're now just sort of looking at sort of some of the reaching out into sort of the community side of what you do. And so I did recently read about the fact that you was involved with the railways.
Yes. Just last week, actually, we were there on the stations as people came. We tried to go in the morning when people were going up to town or off on their business or to work, and again in the evenings when they were coming back, and gave out stickers and promotion numbers and things like that. If anybody wanted to talk, they could. But we've had the last couple of years have been really important with the railways. We all know that sadly people take their life on the railway from time to time, and the railway police have really taken to this in a big way, and the Samaritans have trained all the people on different station duties, not just the police, station police, to watch out for people who are acting slightly strangely, and just go up and just make a quiet conversation with them, just that. And that sort of calms it down, and then they can talk to them, and it takes away the fear from the person on the station who sees somebody worried and wonders what on earth they can do to help.
Yes.
By being trained to just go up and gently say, hello, how are you feeling? Is there something wrong? Is there anything I can help with? Just sort of general reaching out really gently to somebody can really bring them down, and then they can tell you how they are feeling or what they're planning to do or what they're not planning to do, and help can be got to them.
One sort of important question which we probably haven't covered yet, which we wish we should really do, and that's what kind of support network is there out there for the family of loved ones, that have obviously on the other end, if you like, of the situation where someone who's died in suicide.
Yes.
Is there a good network out there for families and for?
Yes, there are other charities that do that, exactly that, bereavement by suicide, and there are charities for that specifically, like there are charities for almost all the things that we deal with as well. But we're a kind of overall emotional first aid, I don't know, that we can actually signpost people to other places there. But also they can talk. We would never say the number you require is, and off you go, sort of thing. We'd say, we can give you a number, but do you want to talk now at the moment? Is that why you've rung? And then you can talk further with somebody from a charity or an expert in the particular problem that you have. Yeah. So we're sort of first base in that way. I mean,
I certainly don't want to stereotype it to make that about that's the kind of the norm or that happens all the time. But certainly in some cases, it's quite common to hear that this was just it was just such a shock.
Yes.
No one could see this coming. And so that terrible, not only loss, but also shock must be quite devistating to a family of someone that's taken.
Absolutely. I just can't begin to imagine what it must be like. And everybody reacts differently to it. But yes, and the other thing that people say is, was there something I should have done? Yes. That's the sort of secondary thing underneath. And
should I have seen the signs
yes,
or something like that?
That's right. And yes, sometimes there are signs and sometimes there aren't. And you may be interested to know that Samaritans actually believe in what's called self-determination. So actually they believe that if somebody really wants to take their life and they have determined that that's what they're going to do, we will then offer to stay with them on the phone so that they have a person just beside them while they're going down, which is a pretty difficult thing to do, and that's what quite a lot of our training's about. But we believe that actually, in a lot of cases, because we're not saying, you mustn't do that, like family would say or loved ones would say to you, actually, they can sometimes talk themselves and out of it in terms of realising that there is still something that they can do, but they're feeling so bad about how they're making other people feel all the time. This is what we hear all the time, that they'd be better off without me, they say on the phone. I've actually heard that said, and it's so sad. And so therefore we say, tell me more about it. Tell me how you feel about it. What is it you want? How do the suicidal feelings make you feel? What are you planning to do? and they're thinking, this is somebody who is actually standing alongside me and actually listening to what I'm saying, and I don't have to watch my words because it's not a loved one, it's not anything particular, it's just some human being alongside me, and I can say what I really, really feel. And that happens.
Yes. Letty, have you got a question? Let's bring Letty in at this
Very
point.
powerful, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
I just want to say, with the callers actually, do you find that there's more of the certain age groups that call you? Is it very varied, or is there a certain group that calls in regularly?
Yes, there are people who call in quite regularly, actually, and a lot of those are very lonely people, and people who are also loners in society, who find it difficult to get on with people, and they find that they can talk to a friendly voice, and they may only talk for 5 or 10 minutes, and that sets them up for the day or the evening or whatever, and they're able to go about their way in the best way that they can, just for having spoken to somebody, any age. But also we get a lot of distressed people, obviously, when they've had something wrong with them physically, and a lot of mental health problems. We have quite a lot of people who are having panic attacks and anxiety attacks, where we just talk to them, and you can hear, it is just amazing to hear their voices come down and calm down, and then they feel better for that time. You know they're going to be ringing again, because people who have panic attacks don't just have one. It's something they have to, get along with.
Yeah.
Hopefully with medical help, they'll get better.
Also, if there's someone, I don't know, maybe a family member or a relative that's worried about someone, but that person isn't really, for instance, owning up to the fact that they are that, either very depressed or suicidal. Yes. Do you have that option as well, that people can call you for that, for advice? So maybe it's a parent worried about a son or a daughter. Or,
Yes,
you do.
yes. We don't call it advice because we say that we don't give advice, because people have to make their own choices, and then if they make their own choices, they're likely to go along with it much more than if you say, if I were you, I'd do so and so, because then you don't know whether they will or not. But yes, we can also make what we call third-party calls, so people can ring in and say, I'm really worried about my brother. He's acting strangely. He seems very depressed. He says he won't go to the doctor, and I'm really concerned about him. Would you give him a call? And we say, yes, of course we would, if you're prepared to give him give us his number. And would you like to say that it was as a result of you, the caller, telling us about it, so that we can tell him that they were concerned about them as well? So we do make calls for to another person sometimes.
Yeah. I think our time is actually coming to an end, Penny.
Really?
I really do thank you so much for coming in, and I thank you for sharing with us all this wonderful information. Could you just leave us maybe with some local numbers, if maybe someone wants to get involved with volunteering, or want to find out more, just getting involved, maybe fundraising as well? We haven't even touched on fundraising, have we?
No.
Is there? Before we end, is there anything you want to say? I think that's important.
Okay. Well, one of the things is, I've just been looking on the Samaritans website that we have for volunteers, and last week there were 76,000 calls to Samaritans in Britain, just in Britain and Ireland. It's Ireland and Northern Ireland, actually. It is all included, 76,000. But as well as that, there were people who got the engaged signal. So we're still looking for volunteers. We still need more people. If we have more people, we can answer more calls. That's the straightforward thing. I also haven't said that it's a 24-hour service every day of the year. So there's always somebody there. If you do get the engaged signal, or you do get a message to say that people are busy, please ring again. That's really important.
Yes.
But we're at 9 Park End Road, which is just down the road from your radio place. And and people can drop in there. They can actually drop in to talk without an appointment, but also they can drop in if they're interested in volunteering or finding out more about Samaritans. But a lot of people actually go on the website and apply through the application form on the website, which goes up to their head office and comes back down to us, and then we go through the selection process I talked about before. Was there anything else that I wanted to say? Local number, yes, 417918. That gets through to an answer phone service, and somebody will get back to you.
Right, okay. Well, thank you very much, Penny, for coming in. I really do appreciate you giving me a home. It's been a fascinating interview, and I've really enjoyed it. And as I say, you know, in the future, maybe when you're having these campaigns or reaching out and you want to,
we didn't
more than
talk about the cathedral being glorious green, did we? The Samaritan colour is green, and this is the first time they've ever done it, and we're so excited this week.
You need to come back to us. You really do visit number 2.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me. Anyway, and I hope that it's been interesting.
Thank you very much
for everybody.
Okay, bye bye.